Data is everywhere in schools, and school leaders can very easily use AI to analyze all of this data to make more data-driven decisions for their school. The issue is a lot of this data contains student information. So in this video, we're going to go over how you can easily analyze student data using AI. My name is William Groovy. I'm the founder of Groovy Education, and we have implemented AI into all of these schools here. We also work with a lot of different state level admin organizations to help the school leaders under their umbrella as well. And this is always a favorite amongst them is this document right here. So we're simply just going to walk through this document, which is exactly how to anonymize student data for use in ChatGPT, and then map it back to find the original students in the data. So if you want this document, it's just going to be the first link in the YouTube description down below. You can click on that link. We'll send a copy to your email so you always have one handy. And then it'll also just redirect you straight to this page as well. You can also find it in the school community in the AI toolkit for schools here. I think it's like about halfway down here, anonymizing student data for use with ChatGPT. Now, technically, there's two ways that you can go about this. If you just needed to analyze some data and say it was attendance data, and you don't necessarily need to find students in that data, but you just want an overview of what the attendance trends are, you could just simply take out the column that contains the student name or contains the student ID, and then send that data into ChatGPT, just taking out all student personal identifiers of that data. So if you don't need to pull specific students out of the data, then you can just do that. In this case that we're going to go through, we're going to go over how we can still use a spreadsheet that has student information in it. And we're going to want to try and find students that are falling through the cracks from that spreadsheet. But essentially what we will have to do is we'll have our spreadsheet of data, and then we're going to have to assign each student an anonymized ID. And it's a super simple process that we'll go over. And then now that each student has an anonymized ID, we'll take the student name column along with their anonymized ID column. We'll start a new sheet. We'll take those two columns, we'll copy them, we'll paste them into the new sheet. We'll go back to our sheet that has the student name in it and all of the data along with the anonymized ID. And then we're simply just going to want to take out the student name column. And then we'll just tell ChatGPT to reference the students by their anonymized ID. So then we'll go over to ChatGPT, do the data analysis. It'll give us the students that are falling through the cracks. We'll see their anonymized ID. We can go back to our mapping file, which just contains the student name along with their anonymized ID. And we can see whose anonymized ID it was and match it up with the student. So that is the process that I will walk through here. But again, go grab this document, follow along with me. It's the first link in the description. It's just going to break it down into 7 different steps. The first one is gathering our data. And I do have a little practice activity as we go through this. That's what I'm going to go through because of course we just need some data to analyze. So I linked some up in here. So you'll click on access this mock data. You'll click on it. It'll say, hey, do you want to create a copy of this? You'll create a copy of it. And here we just have some student assessment growth data. So it has a student name, grade level, assessment date, subject, scaled score, percentile rank, grade level equivalent, growth from previous assessments, and number of assessments taken. And it has all of this data for, it looks like about 250 students. And we're going to want to use this inside of ChatGPT, but we see a student name column, so we have to do some things first. So first off, we have to give each student an anonymized ID. And this is a very, very simple process. All we have to do is go ahead and click on column A, and then we can right click on Windows or control click on Mac. We can press on insert column to the left or the right. We'll make a new column, and we can just name this column something like anonymized ID. And then all we have to do in box 1 is type student 001. And then we can either drag this down, and you can see it's going to give each student an incrementing anonymized ID there. Or since there's 200 rows, I don't want to scroll all the way down. If you just click on this box in the bottom right corner, you're going to see this little circle. If you just double click on that little circle there, it's going to just populate it all. So again, just insert a column to the left or to the right of the student name, and then create an anonymized ID. We can just type in student 001 in the first box, And then if you just click that little dot, double click on that dot, it's going to fill it all in. But now we are going to want to create our mapping file. So we want to create a secure mapping file. So for this case and for video purposes, I'm just going to be using 2 Google Sheets. But when you're doing this, like with real student data, of course, this isn't real student data, you're going to want to create a separate Excel file in a password protected folder on your school's server. And if you don't know how to do this, trust me, it is not as complicated as it sounds. I highly recommend just bringing this document to whoever you refer to as your tech guru at your school, and they'll show you how you can very, very simply do this. We just want to make sure the real data and the mapping file that contains, or not the real data, this data that has the anonymized ID along with the data, and then the mapping file that just has a student name in the anonymized ID are not saved in the same spot. So again, just bring this document to your tech guru. He will walk you through it, or he or she will walk you through it very, very simply, and you'll be good to go. But for just practice, you can follow along with me using 2 Google Sheets so you know the flow of it. But essentially all we need to do is start a new Google Sheet. And a little thing that I learned the other day is if you just type sheet.new in a new tab, it'll make a new sheet for you, or doc.new if you want a new Google document. And then I'm simply just going to take column A and column B. I'm going to copy them, and then I'll head over to this and I'll paste them in. And then I'm just going to name this sheet our mapping file. And that is all there is to this sheet. That's all we needed to do. But now we're going to need to go back to the sheet that we want to send into ChatGPT, which is this one. We want to take out all student personal identifiers. So in this case, it's just the student name column, but if there's a student name, if there's a birthday, if there's an address, if there's a student ID, those need to come out. But I'm just going to click on column A and go ahead and delete the column. And now we have all of this data along with each of the anonymized IDs. And now this is ready to go into ChatGPT. So step 3 was removing all of that personal identifiable information, which we just did. And step 4 is we're using ChatGPT for data analysis. So we can go ahead and access ChatGPT. I put a link in this document here. Again, just a reminder, it's the first link in the description. We can go ahead and open ChatGPT up, and then we're going to want to upload our file that we want to analyze. So in this case, you can grab files from your Google Drive inside of ChatGPT, but I always prefer just to download it as a Microsoft Word document. Just makes it a little bit easier. So on your sheet with the data, I'm just going to go File, and then I'll go Download, and then Microsoft Excel. It'll go ahead and download on my computer. Then I can go over to ChatGPT. And then in the bottom left corner of the prompt bar, you're going to see this little plus sign. You can just go ahead and click on that plus sign and then click on Upload from Computer. And then you can select really any file that you want to, whether it's a picture, a PDF, an Excel document, a document. So I'll just grab the assessment data that we just downloaded. It'll be in your Downloads folder. I'll open it up. And now we can see this is attached onto my prompt. And now we want to ask ChatGPT to do something with that data. So for the practice activity, I have a nice prompt right here ready for us, but it just says analyze the attached assessment data to identify students who may be candidates for specialized support. Assessment data, I think I said attendance. Analyze the attached assessment data to identify students who may be candidates for specialized support. Consider factors such as scores below grade level expectations, lack of progress over multiple assessments, and significant discrepancies between subject areas. Provide a list of potential specialized support candidates along with supporting data and recommend appropriate interventions. Use the anonymized ID to reference students. So I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to head over to ChatGPT. I'm going to paste it in. And I'm going to change up this prompt a little bit. And maybe I just want to say, analyze the attached assessment data to identify candidates who may need specialized support. Maybe I just want to say, find the bottom 10 students. And then I'll just go ahead and send this through. And ChatGPT will do its magic, and it's going to send me back the 10 students who need some specialized support. But while that's going on, if you want more prompts for using ChatGPT for data analysis, I did put a link in this document. It just says you can find a bunch of prompts here. You'll click on it and you'll see a bunch of different prompts for data analysis and then a bunch of different prompts for turning that data analysis into actionable plans. So that is in that document as well. But you'll see ChatGPT here spit out the bottom 10 students for me, and it referenced the students by their anonymized ID. So if I want to see who student 243 is, I would just go back to the mapping file and I could just do a Control F or Command F on Mac, and I could say student 243. So if I just want to look up 243, I can see that is Owen Bentley. Of course, this is completely mock data here. And now I can make sure that student gets the specialized support that they need. And I could even say something like, how can we help student 243 improve? Create a plan I can give to his teacher. And it will just go ahead and do that. And it's going to make you a nice plan. So it says, here's a simple actionable improvement plan for student 243. So it looks like they're in 3rd grade. They're in the 1st percentile rank, and we have recommended strategies. Awesome. So that was step 5, is generate actionable plans. I think the biggest thing is, yes, ChatGPT is going to do all sorts of amazing data analysis for you, but it's what we do after we analyze that data. Okay, because of this data, what can we do to make sure we're actually changing something and making it, continuing to make it better and better and better? And then, of course, if we wanted to put the student names back into this, you could just simply go to the mapping file, grab column A, and go ahead and replace the anonymized ID with the student name again. But that is how we can use ChatGPT and still use ChatGPT to do that data analysis and find specific students in that data. Again, if you don't need to find specific students in that data, all you would need to do is go ahead and click on column A, and then you could just go ahead and delete the column, and then we could just send this through. So if I just wanted some reports, I didn't need the specific students to pull specific students out, I can just delete the columns with those personal identifiers. If you like super actionable and practical use cases like this, specifically for school leaders, I highly recommend subscribing. I'll continue to post lots of these. Additionally, I send 2 out every single week to the AI School Leadership Minute newsletter, which is going to be linked up in the description as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.